The new recruit nudged my arm, looking eager to call it a day.
John, the injured have been sent to the hospital. Can we call it a day now?
Yes, notify everyone. We can wrap up for today.
The security guard glanced at me with a teasing smile.
It's Valentine's Day. No one is more eager to go home and be with their wife than John, right? Let's hurry up, everyone.
The surrounding brothers immediately started bantering, and I tried to stay composed. As I opened the door to my home, the dark and empty atmosphere engulfed me. I couldn't hold back anymore and crouched down at the entrance, crying. Rubbing the wedding ring on my hand, I fell into memories. Because of the nature of my job, I often had to return to work suddenly due to a lack of manpower. In the past, whenever this happened, Emma would complain.
Honey, why are you always so busy? You never have time for me.
But now, she no longer complained. She would just nod calmly and walk into the room with a smile on her face. The truth was clear to me now. I realized I was the most pitiful clown in the world. Long before I knew it, she had already gotten involved with her boss, Michael.
My deep affection seemed ridiculous at this moment.
Thinking back to half a year ago, she always used the excuse that Michael suddenly arranged social events for her or that she needed to work overtime and leave suddenly. Everything had been traceable.
Taking a deep breath, I tried to calm my heart. Because of my work habits, I never drank excessively. But today, I drank heavily, as if only the numbness brought by alcohol could temporarily make me forget the sadness.
The next day, I happened to have a day off, and Emma didn't come back until noon. Seeing me still lying on the sofa, she came over and gently woke me up.
Honey, why are you sleeping on the sofa? Why didn't you go to bed?
Where did you go? I prepared a candlelight dinner. Why did you come back so late?
She looked uneasy under my gaze but still acted skillfully.
Isn't it because of my annoying boss? He called me to entertain clients at the last minute. It's so frustrating. I was afraid the candlelight dinner would spoil, so I cleaned it up and threw it away. I thought coming back late would disturb your rest, so I went to my friend's place to sleep.
Really?
I still looked at her indifferently. A guilty look flashed in her eyes, then she walked seductively towards me.
Honey, don't you trust me?
The smell on Emma made me nauseous. I quietly tried to move back. I could only lightly touch her neck and shoulder with my finger.
What is this?
The red mark on her neck was particularly conspicuous, piercing my heart even more. Emma's expression finally showed a trace of panic, but she quickly covered it up.
Isn't it just because I ate some shrimp at the social event? You know I'm allergic to shrimp. I felt uncomfortable and scratched it. Don't you trust me? How can you doubt my sincerity towards you?
She pretended to be angry and dissatisfied. Then she said she would take a shower, saying she was tired from the day and didn't want to be doubted by me when she got home. I didn't say anything more, just listened to the sound of water in the bathroom. Her excuse was clumsy. Normally, she would vomit just at the sight of shrimp. How could she choose to eat it? Since we started dating, shrimp had almost disappeared from my life. The pain in my heart made it hard to breathe, and I had already cried all my tears last night. All that was left for me was helplessness. The next morning, However, as Emma's career advanced rapidly, I noticed significant changes in her. She started wearing higher heels and shorter skirts.
Emma, why this sudden change in your wardrobe?
It's for work, Liam. These things are unavoidable.
I chose to respect her choices, believing that as long as she loved me, her clothing didn't matter. When I broke off relations with my family for Emma, only Grandma supported us. My family cut off my financial support, thinking I wouldn't stick with a woman for long. Grandma asked me to bring Emma home and gave me her lifetime savings.
Liam, since you're determined to marry Emma, don't let her suffer. Give her a grand wedding.
Emma was surprised by the amount but didn't think much of it. She used the entire dowry to renovate her family's new house. When I found out, I supported her decision, thinking it was hers to spend as she wished. But now, things have changed, and I can't continue with her. Grandma would be so heartbroken if she knew. On the day Emma said she would come back, I didn't hear from her but received news that Grandma was critically ill. In the hospital corridor, I paced back and forth anxiously.
Doctor, how's my grandma?
Birth, aging, illness, and death are natural. It's hard to say if she can make it through the night. Fulfill any wishes she has.
I suddenly felt dizzy and almost collapsed. After a while, I wiped away my tears and walked into the ward. Grandma lay quietly on the bed, smiling kindly when she saw me.
Liam, you're here. Why didn't Emma come with you?
She's on a business trip, busy with work.
Grandma reached out her trembling hands to hold mine.
It's good to be busy. Liam, can you call Emma for me? Let me see her and hear her voice one last time.
I took out my phone and repeatedly called Emma.
Sorry, the number you dialed is temporarily unavailable.
The cold mechanical voice echoed again and again, and the light of hope in Grandma's eyes slowly dimmed. Finally, her hands holding mine became stiff and fell.
Grandma!
I couldn't believe it and called out to her repeatedly. Grandma was gone, forever. I couldn't help but cry out loud in the ward. At that moment, the door quietly opened, and a pair of hands gently patted my back. It was Olivia, my childhood friend who grew up with me.
I rushed over as soon as I heard Grandma was critically ill. Don't be too sad. Grandma's greatest wish was for you to be happy.
Olivia stayed with me at the hospital all night, waiting for my family to handle the arrangements after Grandma's passing. She comforted me as I was on the verge of breaking down. In the underground parking lot, I had just gotten out of the car when I saw Emma getting out of her boss's car. I thought I would be very angry, but after everything that had happened, I felt an unprecedented calm. Emma turned and saw me, hurriedly getting out of Michael's embrace.
Emma, tone, nervous James, what are you doing here?
I had no intention of talking to her, but she ran up and grabbed my hand.
Emma, tone, panicked, there's nothing between us. We just happened to be on a business trip, and the boss offered to drive me home.
Tone, serious, drive you home? Like this?
She looked down and saw her disheveled appearance. Without saying more, she still held onto me tightly. I took a deep breath and spoke in a hard tone.
Didn't you say you would come home yesterday? Why didn't you answer the phone?
Emma, tone, stunned, what? Are you blaming me?
Before I could continue, a mocking voice came from behind.
Michael, tone, mocking, is this your husband? He looks so shabby.
Michael turned and walked over, a disdainful smile on his lips, provocatively wrapping his arm around Emma's waist. Emma's body stiffened slightly, and after a moment of hesitation, she removed his hand from her waist.
Emma, tone, defensive, you know I'm busy with work. Why are you talking to me like this now?
Michael, tone, sneering, if you're poor, you shouldn't get married. With your salary, how can you support her?
He casually pulled out a wad of cash from his pocket and threw it at me.
Here, take this. If you were capable, you wouldn't let your wife work overtime every day.
He emphasized the word overtime. Then he looked at Emma and said,
There's an urgent matter at the company. Come with me, don't go home.
Emma looked at me, then at Michael, who was about to leave, stomped her feet, and hurried to catch up.
James, tone, desperate Emma, are you really going with him today?
Emma, tone, excited, what are you doing? Are you accusing me again? What can I do if I don't go? I need this job, can you afford to lose it?
The last sentence was cut off by the car door. I watched the luxury car drive away, a bitter smile on my lips.
James, tone, sad enough, I had to face reality eventually.
The last bit of affection in my heart broke at that moment. Emma came home late again tonight. Seeing me still sitting in the living room waiting for her, she didn't say a word, still upset about the morning's incident. Whenever we had a disagreement, she wouldn't speak to me because she knew I would always be the first to apologize and bring her gifts to make her happy. But now, I wouldn't give in anymore. The atmosphere turned icy cold.
Can you tell me now? Where did you go yesterday?
What do you mean? What else could I be doing? Just making money. If you could earn more, would I have to work so hard?
I chuckled. She still wasn't willing to tell me the truth.
How much does your boss pay you?
Emma was stunned and asked.
James, what do you mean?
I showed her a social media video posted by her boss, located at a 5-star hotel in Beijing. The video was posted on the day Grandma passed away. No wonder she didn't answer my calls. The comments were filled with thumbs up and drooling emojis from Michael's friends.
Are you suggesting I have an inappropriate relationship with him because of this picture? You make me sick.
I looked up and pointed to the woman's hand in the picture.
Where's your ring?
She noticed that the hand in the picture was wearing a wedding ring identical to the one she used to wear. Emma's eyes flashed with panic as she looked at her own hand, realizing she had forgotten to put the ring back on after taking it off at the hotel with Michael.
You're accusing me based on a ring? Can't someone else have a similar ring? I didn't wear the ring last time because I was afraid of losing it, so I left it at home.
This ring was custom made by a high-end French designer, and I was involved in the design process. There is only one in the world.
To my surprise, she mocked me.
Ha, custom made? With your salary back then? Even if you earned 20 times more, you couldn't afford it. Stop bragging. I'm exhausted, I'm going to rest.
Watching her walk away and looking at the wedding photo beside me, I remembered our wedding trip across the country. At the Padala Palace, I secretly put that ring on her finger. We made vows to love each other forever. I picked up the wedding photo, looked at it for a long time, and finally threw it into the trash can. I told myself, if it's trash, don't cling to it anymore. The next morning, I left a divorce agreement on Emma's desk and went back to my security post. To my surprise, Emma stormed into my workplace after seeing the agreement.
Emma, tone, shouting James, what do you mean by this? You want a separation just because I was too busy to answer your call that day?
James, tone, serious Emma, please, let's talk privately.
I tried to pull her aside to a quieter corner to talk, but she angrily shook off my hand.
Emma, tone, shouting, say whatever you have to say right here. Let your colleagues see what kind of person you are. How could you treat me like this?
With no tasks at hand, my colleagues quickly gathered around, eager not to miss the drama.
James, tone, serious, do you know why I kept asking you what you were doing that day?
The memory brought a fresh wave of pain to my heart.
James, tone, sad that day. My grandma passed away.
Emma, tone, shocked what? How could that be?
Grandma had always treated her very well, like her own granddaughter.
Emma, tone, defensive, but you can't blame me, I didn't know. I was busy with work.
James, tone, cold Emma, you were wrong. You were at a hotel with your boss, Michael.
The thought of separation had crossed my mind ever since I discovered she was with someone else. But I had hesitated, partly because of Grandma, who couldn't bear such a blow. Now that Grandma was gone, I felt it was time to let myself go.
Emma, tone, angry, you're talking nonsense. I've told you many times, Michael and I are just colleagues.
James, tone, serious colleagues, who both end up in the hospital.
Emma, tone, surprised how do you know?
James, tone, serious, you should know, I was on duty that day. I was the one who took you both to the hospital.
Our argument was loud, and Emma had intended to make a scene, so a large crowd had gathered. Especially those who had been with me on duty that day were wide-eyed.
Colleague 1, Tone. Whispering, hey, isn't that the woman we rescued on Valentine's Day?
Colleague 2, Tone. Whispering, yeah. I remember there was a guy with her too.
They exchanged looks, and Leo, who was close to me and had a fiery temper, shouted.
Leo, Tone. Shouting she cheated and now she's blaming James. How shameless.
Emma's face turned red and green with anger as she dragged me outside. At the door, James made a tough decision.
Let's get a divorce. We can't go back.
James, even now you still don't believe me.
That day I was hospitalized because of a last-minute work event. I didn't want to worry you, so I didn't say anything. What happened to Grandma had nothing to do with me. It's natural for the elderly to pass away. She just couldn't hold on. You can't blame me for that.
Although James knew that life and death are natural, hearing her speak so coldly and without conscience made him almost want to slap her.
Emma, I know what you're worried about. Don't worry, the house and car, which I bought after our marriage, will stay with you. The money Grandma gave you as a wedding gift, and the money I sent to your family, I won't take back a single cent.
Really? You said it yourself. No takebacks. And you were the one who wanted the divorce, not me. Since you want it so much, let's get divorced.
James looked at her face, which changed faster than the weather in June, and found it utterly laughable. In their free time, they went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to finalize the divorce. As soon as they stepped out, Michael pulled up in a luxury Lamborghini to pick her up. They no longer pretended to avoid suspicion and flirted openly in front of James.
Happy single life, darling. Being with me is much better than being with this poor guy.
Isn't that right? You're the best, darling.
She then swayed her hips in front of James, showing off the bag in her hand.
See this? This bag costs tens of thousands, a global limited edition. You've probably never even seen it. He's much better than you.
With that money, you might as well buy a car. A bag can be fake, but a car can't.
Do you think everyone is as stingy and poor as you? I think you're just jealous.
Michael snorted disdainfully. The two of them got into the luxury car with their noses in the air. After divorcing Emma, I returned home and took over all the family business projects. I threw myself into work to heal from the pain. During this time, Olivia was always there for me. I saw Michael and Emma again at a company board meeting. They had already married and were praised as a perfect couple in the company.
James, what are you doing here?
The group of executives beside her showed their displeasure at her rudeness, reprimanding her.
This is the current chairman of the company. Why wouldn't he be here? Who is this, a new hire? How rude.
Emma's face was filled with disbelief, muttering softly.
How is this possible? Our company is part of the GU Group.
Then, as if realizing something, her expression turned as if she had seen a ghost.
Wait, James. GU Group.
Yes, it's a subsidiary of my family's company. My elders let me manage it for practice. You didn't think I was unqualified, did you?
Emma and Michael quickly shook their heads in fear. After they finished reporting the recent work summary, I stood up and threw a folder onto the table.
These are the documents proving that Michael, the financial director, has been embezzling company funds over the years. I've already reported it to the police and submitted it to the court.
Under everyone's shocked gaze, the police entered and took Michael away for investigation. The truth was, Michael had not only embezzled company funds but had also spent all of it, unable to repay. I had been surprised to see Michael spending money so lavishly.
In my own company, I was quite familiar with the details of their salaries. Upon investigating, I found that Michael came from an ordinary family, and his salary was not enough to support such extravagant spending to please women.
Emma was completely devastated. Although she didn't have to face legal consequences with Michael, Being married to him meant she was obligated to help repay the debt. Emma cried even harder upon hearing this, gasping for breath.
I know that with my education and abilities at the time, I wasn't qualified to join the company, but I was too young then, I didn't understand. Honey, I know you love me the most, you must still care about me, please give me another chance, let's reconcile, okay?
She crawled forward in a sorry state, trying to grab my feet. I stepped back a few steps to avoid her.
If you don't want to reconcile, that's fine, but can you help me pay off my debts? After all, your family isn't short of money, can you really bear to see me suffer? Michael's gift bag was fake, I'm really at my wit's end.
Emma, you have some nerve to say that. Over the years, I've given your family no less than $1 million. You should ask them for help rather than coming to me.
I knew that the house and car I left her were sold after she married Michael, and the money was given to him for so-called investments. But there were no investments, Michael used it all to show off. If she still had those assets, she wouldn't be in such a sorry state now. I waved my hand, signaling the security guards to escort her out. Emma, unwilling to give up, struggled desperately to reach me, to see if I still had any genuine feelings for her.
Honey, do we have a guest?
Olivia walked out of the house slowly, and I hurriedly went forward to support her. During my lowest period, Olivia was always by my side, making me realize my feelings for her. Our relationship quickly blossomed, and we soon got married. Now, she was 2 months pregnant.
You're overreacting, I'm not that fragile.
Of course you are. You're my precious wife.
Our happiness stung Emma. Perhaps she felt this was the life she should have had.
You wretch! Give John back to me!
She suddenly lunged forward, trying to grab Olivia. To protect Olivia, I instinctively stepped forward and kicked Emma away.
Crazy woman.
Seeing this, several security guards quickly came up and dragged her away. After that, I never saw Emma again. I only heard that because of these troubles, she was blacklisted in the industry, and no reputable company dared to hire her. She had no money to send home. Her family forcibly took her back to the countryside, intending to use her to get money for her brother's marriage. When I heard this, I sighed.
Perhaps if she had followed her own pace, she wouldn't have ended up so badly. There's nothing wrong with ambition, but she used the wrong methods. No matter how hard you try to climb up, you shouldn't use betrayal and deceit.